Alright YouTube, it's been a little bit of time since I last did a video. I've not been slacking off, been working, just not been making videos, so I apologize for that. But I'm going to try and catch you up here on the video on what I've done so far and try and explain it the best I can, so hold tight. So this is where we're at right now. I have 4 of the 8 gunwales bent. These ones are actually installed. I installed them temporarily with some regular steel fasteners. I will get other fasteners after I finish the wood. So you can take a look at this. Is a little more sanded. That side is a little better finished. It's still not as finished as it needs to be, but I decided I had to finish it on the boat because after I built this middle section of framing, and this section just sort of sits on the floor, so no big deal. But when I went to do the back section, I realized that how wide the boat was really going to be important for everything to line up correctly. And when I took these wooden rails off, the boat kind of flopped outward at the top, changing the distance between that and that. So I had to put the wooden rails on in order to continue building the frame out. The framing went fairly smoothly, although it was a little slow because I'd never worked with aluminum before. So a little bit of trial and error, a bit of thought before I made every move to try and make sure that I didn't screw it up too badly. I think it went pretty well. I have one piece of angle aluminum here, and this is 2" by 2" 3/16 T6061 aluminum. I have one piece that went here down the middle. First I put on that side, so I made a T out of it. Then I came over here, and this is not attached. Let's move that aside. I put this side on, so I had an I. And then I built that box, which is going to be a seat with one dry hatch there. And then I put these on last for support. And again, this section is just sitting on the floor right now. I am going to tack it down to the ribs, probably with just a screw, but I'll have to take it out to paint it. I'm going to paint the inside. I'm going to put some bedliner type paint on the inside. So I'm going to take all these framing sections out before I do that. So I haven't really attached the framing to the boat itself yet. I just sort of built it, made it fit, and placed it in place. The back section is fairly simple. It just is sitting on the original side rails where the bench seat were. The bench seat bench's seats were, whatever. And yeah, and then I built this. This box is interesting. This is actually one of the original reserve flotation devices that were attached to the bottom of the bench seat, and it is one single piece. It's sealed aluminum all the way around, and it was actually watertight because it had to be. It was part of the flotation for the boat. And you can see this one is marked out, so I just drew on it with a permanent marker. And then I started cutting it like this, and you can see that after the cut is complete, you can see the side here, and bring it over to the light. So the inside is that shiny aluminum there, and I just fold those sides out like that, and then I took some some of this 1 inch by 1 inch 1/16 angle aluminum. I placed it underneath the folded out section like that, and then I took some of this other angle, the 3/16 2 inch by 2 inch, and I placed it on top of the folded out section, and then riveted those together. And then I trimmed off the edges of the folded out section. So you can see this is the 3/16. This is actually flat bar. I use flat bar, not angle there. But this is 3/16 by 2 inch flat bar. Under here, you can't see it, but this is under here is that 1/16 angle. And then in between there is the folded out section of the box. And I just riveted that to the underside of my frame. I'm going to have a seat, so I'm going to get a plate that's going to go across here, and that's where my seat is going to go, the driver's seat. And then when I do my hatches, I'm actually going to make this entire thing here a hatch that will open up and allow for storage. So that's what I did on the framing so far. What did I learn? Lots. When you're cutting aluminum, it's better to cut it. Just cut it with a saw. Here, I'll show you kind of what I got. Get some new saw blades. Don't use the old ones. They won't work. It'll frustrate you. And when you buy the saw blade, let's see if I can get this into focus here. I don't know. But try to get the teeth that are wider apart. Not like the real fine teeth that you would use for steel or something, because aluminum will gum up those fine teeth and that saw blade will become useless pretty quickly. It's really a soft metal. If you try to use a grinder on it, it's just going to melt. It's not really going to cut effectively. It's way better to cut it with just a saw. You can cut it with a table saw. I made a jig for my table saw. And you can cut it on this pretty effectively. This saw blade has carbide tip blades, which most construction saw blades that you buy for a 10-inch saw like this will have little carbide tips on the end of them. And as long as they have those carbide tips, they'll cut aluminum just fine. Just again, make sure that it's not too narrow. If these teeth are too narrow and too close together, this will get all gummed up with aluminum schmoo, and then it won't work for shit. So get the wider teeth, cut it really like wood, is the best thing I can tell you. Bolting it together, how do you make it square? How do you make it flat? That was something that I struggled with quite a bit, trying to get that to work. One trick that I did come up with: get yourself a machining square like this. And what you can do with this thing is you can just use your clamps. You can clamp that to one side, clamp the top part to the other piece, and then use that to screw it right into the metal. And that way you can make sure that it's square. So that's a nice trick. What else can I tell you about this? Really, it's easier to work than you think. It's a lot like wood. If you've worked wood before, you can work aluminum. The rivets are slick. They work super well. Super easy. Just drill a hole, pop the rivet in there, done deal. I like working with aluminum, and I think you will too. So give it a chance. For all you guys like me that have never worked with aluminum but worked with wood before, this is an easy step for you guys. Should be able to do this pretty effectively. When I go to bend the next piece of wood for the boat, I will make a video about that. Here's the rig that I set up to actually do the bending, and I will explain that to you when I go to do these pieces down here. So I'm not going to do that right now, but I will make that video. I think you guys will be interested in that, how that works. Also, a question. I always have a question. If anybody knows if you can rent a paint booth or something, or how do I paint in here? I mean, this is my shop here. There's my wife's car. I'm going to be painting black. I don't want the overspray to go over there and land on her car. I don't think she'd be too happy with that. So if you guys have any suggestions for me, please help me out. Thanks. See you soon.